Good morning, how are you? Welcome to day number 4 of the Puffin Festival of Big Dreams. My name is Radzi and today's theme is all about one word. It has 5 letters and it's one of the coolest words ever made ever. Magic. I know, I love magic, so it's time to dream big and dream magical. So let's stretch, reach for the skies and get ready to dream. And then we're gonna click after 3. So chin in hands, head to the skies. 1, 2, 3. Do you recognise this book? Well, The Worst Witch is about a school for witches, and its hero, Mildred Hubble, is, well, how shall we say, clumsy? She's always mixing up her spells and causing chaos. Well, as I'm sure you're also aware, that book got turned into an amazing TV series on CBBC. But here's a bit of inspiration to all you budding writers out there. Jill Murphy, the author, started writing her book when she was still at school. So that means any of the scribbles that you start writing down now could be in a library or a bookshop very soon indeed. And that's what I call a really magical thought. Are you ready for some magic? Well, here's debut author Hana Tooke. Hana's with her very first book called The Unadoptables. Now she's going to show you how to make a puppet theatre. Now watch really closely because perhaps afterwards you'll make your very own puppet theatre inspired by one of your favourite stories. And by the way, don't forget to keep sending us in your dreams using the hashtag Puffin Dreamer if you'd like Nick Sharratt to illustrate one of yours.
Hello dreamers, how are you? I hope you're very well. My name is Hana Tooke and I am the author of The Unadoptables, which comes out on July 23rd and it's illustrated by the very, very talented Aisha Rubio. Look at that, isn't it beautiful? I'm going to read from The Unadoptables a little later, but first I'd like to show you how you could make your very own puppet theatre. To do this, you're going to need a cardboard box, some paints and pens and glue, and some stiff wire or sticks. These could be twigs or an old pencil even. Let's make our puppet theatres. As I said, mine's going to be book themed, and I've chosen Alice in Wonderland for mine. You can do yours on any book you like. It doesn't even have to be a book. It could be a dream or a film or a game. It could be a story that you want to write yourself. It doesn't matter. All you're going to need is a cardboard box that's roughly book shaped, so rectangular. And if you do lots of arts and crafts and paintings already, you've probably already got everything you need. So this is what mine looks like. So I've done front cover, I've done the spine, and it opens up into a puppet theatre. Let's begin. So I've been through my recycling and I found this lovely book-shaped box here, which opens as well, like this, and I think would make a fabulous puppet theatre. So I might start by just trimming these two flaps here, just to get them out of the way. Okay, so I have done the front cover and the spine and all the sides. And inside, I've done it quite plain. I've just painted it silver, there's a reason for that. And on the flap, I quite like to add a quote, and this is my favourite quote from Alice in Wonderland. Now the reason why I haven't painted anything here is because I think it's quite a good idea with puppet theatres, if you want to put on a show, to have lots of different pieces of card like this, which fit exactly inside, and you can draw different backgrounds on each one, so every time you do a new scene you can just swap the background and your characters have moved to a new setting. So I could have the Mad Hatter's Tea Party on one of them and Alice falling down the rabbit hole in another one, or for the one I'm doing today I've decided to do the Queen of Hearts croquet scene. Okay, so now it's time to make some puppets. And for my Queen of Hearts croquet scene, I've got two puppets that I've made. The first is, of course, the Queen of Hearts. And as you can see, she's got a flamingo there, which she's using instead of a club. And instead of a ball, she's using a very poor little hedgehog. So that's one of them. And then the other puppet I've made is, of course, Alice. There we go. These are really, really easy to make. All you need to do is get a bit of card and draw your character onto the card or onto a piece of paper like I've done, and then stuck it onto some card. And then I've just sellotaped some wire onto the end so that you can move it around. Now you can use a bit of twig, you can use some pipe cleaner, anything that kind of is nice and stiff like that will work. Next, you'll need to cut a thin rectangular slot out of the top of your theatre. This is so you can put the puppet wire or the sticks through. You'll definitely need a grown-up to help you with this bit though, because it can be a bit fiddly. So there you have it, your very own theatre. I hope you've had lots of fun making it, and I hope you have even more fun putting on lots of shows for your family. As you can probably tell behind me, I quite like puppets, and they feature a lot in my book, so I really hope you enjoy this session. Before we begin, I might find somewhere a little bit more atmospheric to do some reading. Whoa, this is a lot better. Come take a seat. There's a rock you could sit on over there, or a little log. I'm going to read you Chapter 0, which takes place at the Little Tulip Orphanage in Amsterdam in 1880. And there's a sign on the front door which states how a baby should be abandoned. And these are the rules of baby abandonment. Rule 1. The baby should be wrapped in a cotton blanket. Rule 2. The baby should be placed in a wicker basket. And rule 3. The baby should be deposited on the topmost step. In all the years that Eleanor Gaspeak had been matron of the Little Tulip Orphanage, not once had the rules of baby abandonment been broken, until the summer of 1880. 5 babies arrived in the months that followed, and despite the rules being clearly displayed, not one of these babies was abandoned sensibly. The first baby arrived on a bright morning at the end of August, as dew glistened on the city's cobblestone streets. Swaddled in a pink cotton blanket and placed on the appropriate step was a baby with cocoa bean eyes and blonde fuzz on its head. However, the way in which Rule 2 had been disregarded left no room for forgiveness. The child was snuggled inside a tin toolbox, which had been wrapped in emerald green ribbon as if it were a present. "Ugh," Eleanor Gaspeak squawked, looking down at the toolbox baby in disgust. She signalled a nearby orphan to retrieve it. "Put it upstairs." The orphan nodded. "What name shall I put on the cot, matron?" She curled her lip. Naming children was tedious, but necessary. "She's got a lot of fingers, matron." The baby was sucking its thumb, making loud slurping noises that sent ants crawling up the matron's spine. She counted the child's fingers. Sure enough, it had an extra digit on each hand. "Name it Lotta." The second baby arrived on a blustery evening in September, as a mischievous wind rattled the orphanage's many wooden shutters. An orphan walked into the dining hall, cradling a coal bucket as if it were a bouquet of flowers. Something was whimpering inside the bucket. Peering in, the matron was displeased to find a raven-haired infant, wrapped in a soot-stained shawl, blinking up at her. "Poor thing was abandoned beside the coal bunker," the orphan said. "Disgraceful," Gaspeak screeched, referring to the breaking of Rule 2 and Rule 3. "Take it away." "A name for him, matron?" the orphan asked nervously. Eleanor Gaspeak took another reluctant look at the coal bucket baby, its charcoal blackened nose, and the shabby shawl that was wrapped snugly around it. The cotton shawl looked like it had, possibly, been brightly coloured once. Now, however, it was a mottled shade of grey with a barely discernible pattern of darker grey ovals. Like rotten eggs, the matron thought. "Name it Egbert." The third baby arrived on an unusually warm afternoon in October, as ladies in parasols paraded up and down the sun-warmed street. Sitting on a bench outside, in her finest puff-sleeve dress, Eleanor Gaspeak opened her picnic hamper and was horrified to find a wriggling baby wedged in among the cheese sandwiches and almond cake. It had a shock of curly red hair and was babbling incessantly. No blanket, no wicker basket, and not on the topmost step. The matron screeched, shrill and loud like a boiling kettle. The picnic hamper baby immediately fell silent, its eyebrows squeezing together in a frightened frown. Up and down the street, curious faces appeared in the windows of the tall, narrow brick houses, and the strolling ladies came to a halt. Eleanor Gaspeak gathered her wits and plastered on a smile for her neighbours. An orphan wove through the throng towards her. "She wasn't there a minute ago," the girl insisted, picking the baby up delicately. "Take it away," Eleanor Gaspeak said through gritted teeth. "Yes, matron, but a name?" The orphan rocked the now silent baby, gently brushing fennel seeds from its hair. The matron shuddered. "Name it Fenna." The fourth baby arrived on a gloomy morning in November, as a blanket of fog curled over the canal behind the orphanage. The delivery bell on the second floor jangled, rung from a boat on the canal below. Using the pulley system attached outside the window, an orphan hoisted the bucket winch up. As it emerged from the fog, Eleanor Gaspeak's left eye began to twitch. Inside the bucket was a baby, wearing a white wheat sack and a sad frown. 2 holes had been cut in the bottom of the sack to allow its unusually long legs to poke through. The matron hauled the wheat sack child inside, cursing the madness that had befallen her orphanage. "Put some clothes on it," she called to the orphan hovering beside her. She looked at the baby's wonky ears, its gangly limbs, and the wheat-coloured hair that stuck out from its head at the unruliest of angles. Printed on the wheat sack were the words, "Semolina flour." The matron groaned. "Name it Sem." The 5th and final baby arrived under a full moon in December, as the constellations shone brightly above Amsterdam's skyline. Gaspik had sent an orphan out onto the Little Tulip's roof to investigate a strange noise. Wedged behind the chimney stack, inside a coffin-shaped basket, was a baby, cooing contentedly up at the starry night sky. It had hair as dark as midnight and eyes that were almost black. Gingerly, the orphan brought the coffin basket baby inside, where it immediately began to wail. Careful not to touch the infant, the matron reached down and pulled a toy from its clutches. A cat puppet, made of the softest Amsterdam cotton and dressed in fine silk. A faint ticking noise emanated from the toy, but the matron was tutting too loudly to hear it. "Ridiculous!" She tossed the puppet back in the basket, on top of the black velvet blanket in which the baby was swaddled. On the corner of the blanket, embroidered in white thread, was a name. Milou. There we go. That was the prologue of The Unadoptables. I hope you enjoyed it.